There's a quiet moment that comes after the alarm clock stops ringing, not dramatic, not loud, just a small pause in the day where something feels different. Even if you can't quite name it yet, you wake up, the light looks the same, the house sounds the same, but somewhere underneath there's a subtle shift, a sense that time now belongs to you in a new way, and so does everything else connected to it. For years, money had a rhythm. It arrived on certain days. It left on certain days. You didn't have to think about it much, because it followed the same path over and over. Like a familiar road you could drive without looking at the signs. Then one day, the road changes, not abruptly, not with a warning sign, just enough that you notice you're paying a little more attention now. You might find yourself standing in a grocery aisle a few seconds longer than you used to, not because you can't afford what's in front of you, but because your mind quietly asks a different question than it once did. Not do I need this today, but how does this fit into the bigger picture now? No one really prepares you for that moment, because on the surface, retirement is supposed to feel like relief, and often it does. But underneath that relief, there's a gentle awareness that money has stopped being something you earn and started being something you manage in a more personal way. You don't talk about it much, not with friends at dinner, not with family who might worry. You keep it tucked inside where these thoughts usually live. You notice how certain expenses feel different now, not heavier, just closer. When money was coming in steadily, it felt like part of the background, like electricity, always there as long as you paid attention once in a while. Now, money feels more like something you carry with you, not burdensome, just present. You may catch yourself replaying small decisions in your mind, not with regret, more with curiosity. Was that the right choice? Would I do it differently today? Does it matter as much as it feels like it does? Sometimes the thoughts arrive in the quiet parts of the day. Early mornings, late evenings, moments when the television is off and the house settles into stillness. You might wonder why something that once felt straightforward now feels layered. Why money seems to carry more meaning than numbers on a page ever suggested. Why it's tied to your sense of independence in a way you didn't fully notice before. There's a subtle emotional shift that happens when paychecks stop. Money becomes less about progress and more about continuity. Less about building and more about sustaining the life you've already built. And that can stir unexpected feelings. You may feel proud of how far you've come, and at the same time quietly protective of what you have, not out of fear, out of care. You might notice that spending brings a different kind of emotional response now. Not guilt, not anxiety, just awareness. A moment where you pause and feel the weight of choice in a way that used to pass unnoticed. Some days you feel completely at ease with it all. Other days, a small uncertainty slips in, not overwhelming. Just enough to make you wonder if everyone else feels this too. They do. Even if they never say it. Retirement doesn't change who you are, but it does change the conversation you have with yourself, especially around money. You might notice that you think more about longevity now. Not in dramatic terms, just a quiet awareness that resources, like time, deserve gentler handling. You may find yourself simplifying things without realizing it, choosing comfort over flash, familiar places over new ones, not because you can't do otherwise, but because peace starts to matter more than proving anything. Money begins to reflect that shift. It becomes less about keeping up and more about feeling settled. There are moments when you remember how hard you worked, how many years you showed up, how many responsibilities you carried without complaint. And with that memory comes a quiet determination to honor that effort. You might ask yourself questions you never had time to ask before. What actually makes me feel secure? What expenses bring real comfort, not just habit? What does enough feel like now? These aren't questions that need immediate answers. They're not meant to be solved in one afternoon. They simply arrive because life has slowed enough to let them surface. And slowing down changes everything. You begin to see that money at this stage isn't just a tool, it's a companion. It walks beside you now instead of racing ahead of you. That realization can feel strange at first, even slightly uncomfortable, but it's also honest. And honesty has a calming quality once you allow it. Somewhere along the way, you may notice a shift from worrying about what could go wrong to quietly appreciating what is already steady, the roof over your head, the routines that bring comfort, the ability to choose how you spend your time. Money starts to feel less like a scoreboard and more like a support beam, not something to chase, something to respect. And with that respect comes a softer way of thinking. You stop judging yourself for past decisions. You stop measuring your life against someone else's. You begin to understand that this phase isn't about optimization, it's about alignment. This is where something important begins to change. Not loudly, not all at once. But in the background of your daily life, money starts to settle into a new role. It no longer needs to prove anything, and neither do you. There's a quiet confidence that grows from recognizing this. A sense that while the rules may have shifted, you're still capable of navigating them, perhaps with more care, perhaps with more kindness toward yourself. And as that understanding deepens, something else becomes clear. The story of money after work ends isn't about loss. It's about relationship. A relationship that evolves, that asks for attention, not anxiety, that rewards patience more than urgency. You don't need to rush this understanding. It unfolds at its own pace, just like this chapter of your life. And as you continue to live inside it, day by day, you may find that the quiet changes are not something to resist. They are something to listen to